Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mike King Biz Studio, which is the Mike King Biz Radio Network. It is the first show for my friend. She is the expert in the growing perspectives. Kaisha McCray is in the house. Welcome.
Thank you, Mike.
All righty, so really quickly, let folks know who you are and what you do, and what can they expect?
Absolutely. So I'm Kaisha McCray, and I'm the founder and owner of Growing Perspectives Career Consulting Company. I am a certified leadership and career coach, and my passion is supporting organizations and professionals to thrive and grow and strengthen teams.
So when people are out there looking for change, not sure exactly which way they're going to go, you're talking about growing, giving them a fresh perspective.
Absolutely. And often, sometimes it's easier to hear an outside perspective and an outside view. Sometimes we can all get too close to a topic or a change. So being able to come together and work with someone as their coach, I can help them identify new options, new opportunities, and different perspectives.
All righty, so the name of the program is going to be
Growing Perspectives with Kaisha.
Shocking.
Shocking.
It is. It is shocking. And so tell us what people can expect with this, because this is going to be powerhouse information. You're used to doing this already, dropping bits of information per video. Yes. But this now is you're taking your talents like LeBron, you're taking them to radio.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I'm a basketball fan. So once you said LeBron, I'm like, yep, I get that. So what you can expect with Growing Perspectives with Kaisha is it will be a platform for different leaders, different professionals, business owners to share insights with us about ways that they've grown, different ways to successfully transition, and ways to strengthen yourself as a leader and as a professional.
What is it? So people knock on your door now. What is it kind of like a common theme that you see on a regular basis?
So there's a few things. I would say one common thing that I see is definitely people that are looking to transition to something new. So really understanding what their strengths are and what they want to do and following that passion. And sometimes I'm also hearing, I don't want to say self-doubt, but when it comes to confidence, I have some clients where they need to strengthen their confidence, and they have the ability, but there's some other things that they need to address to be able to continue to grow and thrive.
Building confidence is something a lot more people say they have it and think they have it than really do. So what are some of the things that a business owner can do when you're talking to someone about confidence? What are some of the things that we can do to increase it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I smile with that. Confidence, definitely one thing we can do is to believe in our abilities. Believe what we have proven we can do. Also believe in our capability. Just because we haven't done something before doesn't mean that we can't do it. So we're capable of more than what we think we can, and tapping into the resources around, because none of us know everything, but we can learn. So being willing and open to believe that you can learn and you can collaborate as well to increase your confidence.
Okay, so I remember a couple of years ago, shout out to our friend LaShawanda Moore of Lawrence Trampoline Park and other endeavors. I met you. This had to be, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, you were getting ready to launch this business. I was selling you then, wasn't I?
Well, you were talking.
I was talking, telling you about, hey, this is why you should do this thing.
Absolutely.
You had a game plan in place and you were growing it systematically. You've grown that over the years,
Yes.
And then next thing you know, you are award winner for the Chesterfield Chamber. Now you are really involved with the chamber. Talk about the evolution of that and how much confidence comes in, because like you said, I never did it, but just because you haven't done it doesn't mean you just haven't done it yet.
That's correct. That's correct. So yes, so when we met about 3 years ago and you talked about the evolution and how I was growing my business at that time, um, very systematic. There were certain milestones I wanted, and there's different steps that I needed to take. And when I got involved in the Chesterfield Chamber, I was very intentional and open to making those new connections. I had a wonderful, I call him a mentor, and he was from the membership committee, and that's YB Youngblood.
Yeah, Wabi's no joke.
He's no joke.
Only he can get an award and call at Disney getting the award. I mean, everybody else is in the room or they couldn't make it. Only YB is, and when I joined the chamber, it seemed like 15 minutes later, YB's on the phone with me talking about the power of that thing.
Absolutely. He was my ambassador. And I was open to listening to the advice that he gave, and I was willing to make those connections and to network and to show up, to participate, and to give back. So those are the things that I did. And as you mentioned, I was awarded the Member of the Year for 2021. And now I'm a new board member for the Chesterfield Chamber of Commerce. And it was really around, I see it as involvement, participation, and supporting the other members. So that's the part of being a very connected member, is supporting each other also.
When you look at that right there, you were, as you say, you're very intentional about how you were making these things work. And you are a pragmatic, that's who you are. You know, like you run into some business people a lot of times who are kind of on the creative side, more shoot from the hip, you know, not so much designated as the military calls it, fields of fire. You know, just how do you work with somebody, because they're coming to you saying, I'm looking at making a change where I need some help, and you're looking at them and saying you're all over the place. You need to dial it in, because that could be your thing, because you built your business that way.
Right. So I smile because I have a little bit of that as well. So I could relate to them, because though I was systematic with the approach, I did not limit options. So I came to the drawing board, so to speak, with maybe the top 3 or 4 things I wanted to pursue, but I was flexible enough to explore other options that came up. And if I had a client or if I had a friend or colleague to say, hey, you're really good at this. Have you thought about this? You might want to explore this. I was open to just considering the option. So I still, and today I'm still flexible with my approach, even though I have a strategy. So that allows me to connect with people that are even more creative, to let's explore this, and we can walk down the options, but being open to that and being okay with change.
The name of the program is?
Growing Perspectives with Kaisha.
Okay. So a lot of times you are not, sometimes when people go to the entrepreneurial world, they're like, I'm done with corporate America. Corporate America couldn't hold me. That wasn't you. And so now you're also telling a person, hey, you know, I can help you when you're there. There's a value in being corporate America. Everybody
Yes.
can't be out here owning their own business.
Yes.
So
Yes.
talk a little bit about, so a person sees that, but they also had their eye on when hanging out their own shingle.
Right.
That's part of the perspectives that you can offer them.
Absolutely. So what I would definitely say, yes, there's definitely value in the corporate experience, in the corporate world. And so for that person who's in corporate and who's considering the other side and doing both, being an entrepreneur while maintaining your corporate presence, yes, we could definitely leverage both worlds. They complement each other. And I can pull on my experience. I was in corporate for over 20 years. So there's different things that you are exposed to in corporate that you can definitely leverage on the other side and vice versa.
What was that? So you came from one of the big names, about one of the industry leaders. When people talk about leaders, that's where you came from. And so you know, it's something. What did you learn there? It's like a one thing, it's not just one thing that you really could say is, yes, that I understand that is something that really worked and I learned that there.
Yes. So I would say the one thing that jumps out first to me is how to work with different people, different
Hmm.
cultures.
That's right, because you guys were multinational
Absolutely.
around the world. So you're
Absolutely.
engaging with people and you have to take that into account when you're working with somebody.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
So the average business owner who's out there right now, what then they're talking to you, well, I want to be a better leader, I want my organization. What's the number one thing that they should do?
I would say one of the number one things is to understand your organization and the people, because everyone is different, and the value that everyone brings to your organization, as well as understanding their own strength and their opportunities, and being transparent as they work with their organization. So include your team and where you're going, and value their strengths as well as your own, and identify these opportunities.
Okay, Kaisha McCray is here. Growing perspectives with.
Kaisha.
Alrighty, so a lot of business. When we always talk to people about when do you know you had something, a business owner, they're really just trying to, but they need to be in the room with the right people.
Right.
And so a lot of times people talk about, I don't know what they want to talk about, their crew, their tribe, their universe, whatever it is, there's a power in that. You have events that cause that. You're also available as a speaker as well, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's talk about the events that you have and what people couldn't expect from those, because you recently had one.
Yes. So with Growing Perspectives, we host this year, we're moving to more of a quarterly frequency with women in leadership events. And they typically are women in leadership breakfasts. And we started in Virginia and we've expanded.
You were in Carolina, weren't you?
Yep, was in Carolina 2 weeks ago, South Carolina, and then headed to Charlotte in early May, and then coming back to Midlothian in early May also.
Okay, so what part do you play in these things? Is this just you?
So for right now, at the beginning, it's me doing the promotion and the planning of the events, but there's guest speakers that come in.
But this is your business model.
Yes,
This is you.
This is my
Okay,
business
so
model.
here, all right, okay, so let's talk about that right there. So you had, and we've talked, your lane, this is what you do.
Yes.
How do you expand that thing to say, okay, I want to expand this, and how do I do it? How do you pick out the places to go? Like, what's the infrastructure of you doing this thing from an idea to a reality?
Right. We talked about that creative side earlier, didn't we?
That's the creative side. I want to do this.
Yeah, that's the creative side.
And then the business side steps in and says,
okay, well, to do this, how is this connected? So I built this space off of a core offering that I had, which was the leadership side. And I noticed there was a need in our community for women leaders to further support each other. So it was a great opportunity. It started on Facebook first, and that was a way for the group to meet each other. And then probably after a year, I hosted the first event in Midlothian.
okay.
And that was a great place for women to network and to continue to grow as leaders.
What'd you learn from that event?
Oh my. What I learned from that event was that there is interest, there is a need, and we can all continue to learn and grow as leaders.
So you had another event.
Yes.
Okay. How was that event different than the first one?
I think that event was different because it started to attract different leaders. So different industries appeared. The first one, I probably had 3 or 4 industries represented. And then by the second one, more variety of the industries represented.
Okay. When did you know you had something that I may be able to take this show on the road?
Probably after the second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you pick the location where you were going to when you went on the road?
When I went on the road, I went to a location that was a larger city and that I had family and I want to say friends and classmates from.
So
So I had a
you had some
base.
infrastructure there
Yeah. I
to
had,
start to work with there.
yes.
You didn't
Yes.
have to introduce Kaisha to everybody.
No, not to everybody. I had a starting supporting system there, and family was very heavy in the
Mhm.
Charlotte area, and some friends. So that was my base. And then I decided, hey, I'll take it to South Carolina. That's my home state. So
Okay.
once again, a supporting base, family and friends.
So if a person wants to do something like this, and I want to expand it, give an idea of some of the things you should look for when you go to expand.
One of the things you should look for is there a constant need and an opportunity? And do you have the people in that area to support this offering? There could be some spaces that you get into and it's what you call saturated. The market is already filled. But when you go into a place where you see there's an opportunity, there's enough people that can participate, and there's a need, and you have a following or a client base from these different areas that can help support you as well.
So when you went out and you started to go to the other areas, what was the first event after it was over? You had pulled it off somewhere besides because hey, you're a rock star in Midlothian and Chesterfield. People know you. Now you went on the road. They know Kaisha, but maybe they ain't never seen this version of Kaisha.
Right.
Talk about what that was like when you did it the first time away from Chesterfield.
Right. So how that was, and I will talk about the South Carolina one because the Charlotte one we did virtually.
Okay.
The Carolina was in person. South Carolina was in person in November last year. And how that felt, it felt fantastic. It felt very rewarding to see the connections in the room, to see people that came from different areas and everyone connecting to this message and seeing that this is important. They have a value in doing this. And so I saw it helped me see once again that this is a need. People appreciated it and it was beneficial.
Okay, so when a person is out there, they're successful in their area, then they start looking at what I should do next. What does Kai should talk to them about? Making that next move, giving them a fresh perspective. Like you said, everybody has the plan 100% worked out in your head. Yeah, this is gonna work. There's no way, no possibility it's not gonna work. And then you put it down on paper. Or you start talking to Kaisha and she's like, hey, let's look at this thing because the excited Mike didn't get kind of carried away.
Right.
Let's go ahead and do this thing judiciously.
Right. So in your profession or as a leader, a business owner, one thing that I would say to help them really start to see the options is to really ask them to reflect about what do they want to do? What is possible? What values do they have? Really understanding why this leap is important to them and just get to better understand what they want to do. And sometimes it may sound crazy, and I say crazy in a loose way, but it may sound like a far stretch, but often we have transferable skills that we can leverage from this past experience to where you want to go. It's not as far-fetched as it was maybe 10 years ago. So many people have pivoted and changed and adjust. It can be possible. So it's really about putting it down on paper and understanding where your skills and your strengths are, as well as your interests.
So being a change agent, a perspective on that Corona COVID kind of had a bit of impact on people because like you said, skills, sometimes people used to be able to do this thing. Now I'll do this thing. So you can talk to a person about how to make a difference, how to take some of those skills from over here in column A to go over there. And so all of a sudden you're able to launch whatever dream that she had.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then I would say sometimes we all have gaps. So my role is also to help identify any gaps that you have for making that transition. And like I said earlier, we can learn, we continue to develop. There's so many resources online. We still have the library, but everything on social media, you can learn to help close that gap, or you can collaborate with someone else to help you close the gaps that you have and still be able to move forward.
All right. The name of the program is
Growing Perspectives with Kaisha.
All right, Kaisha McCray. And how can people find you one last time?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me everywhere social under Kaisha McCray, as well as Growing Perspectives on socials, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Kaisha McCray at growingperspectives.com.
You're really working in the area, so congratulations to you.
Thank you.
All folks, you're known Chesterfield. Your reach is farther than that. Like you say, you're going into Carolina. You taking your show on the road
Absolutely.
and realize that it works. So a person who's out there, they're wondering, how can I do this? Well, they need to contact you because you've done it. And it had to, is it more than that? Because this was pre-pandemic when we met.
No, I think we met during the pandemic.
Really?
Maybe the beginning of the pandemic.
Time flies when you're having
Yes,
fun.
it does.
All righty, Kaisha's here. You're going to be hearing her again. It is awesome to have her on the Mike Kingbase Radio Network. Hey, we bring the game changers to you. People who are experts in their field and know how to grow the business. You were deliberate in it. And time is of the essence for some people to make a change. Sometimes you got to know the difference between a brake and the gas. It's not always mashing on the gas.
I agree completely.
There you go. Kaisha's here. We'd like to thank you. On the mic, Mike King is here. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks now.